here with someone who was very close with Mr. Rawlings. He's in the person of Kofi Adams. You know, he was spokesperson for Mr. Rawlings, but now he's known as an MP for Buem. Good to see you. It's sad circumstances, but...
Very sad circumstance, especially for me. My political transition, we have discussed it. We were in the process, but he never lived to see its end. And the first time I spoke from the floor of the House was a tribute to him. It's unfortunate. And today we are here to see to his final place of rest. And we believe that it's time for him to rest.
It's time for him to rest. But what would you say is the legacy that people should, you know, remember him for, even as he's being laid to rest?
There are very big things people can easily see. For example, the constitutional democracy we are enjoying today. You can't talk about it without mentioning Jerry Rawlings, that he sacrifices the institutions he built. The fact that at the age of 52, when he had served his 2 constitutionally mandated terms, he agreed that that is what the Constitution says, no need for any amendment to try to do again. And that has served as a foundation that have grown our democracy from one transfer of power to another, that a lot of people today don't even know what a coup is, because all they have seen is that 7th January of every 4 years, we assemble and the president gets sworn in. Jerry Rawlings will be credited for that. Of course, development of infrastructure and other institutions, academic, that's education, talk about roads, talk about water, talk about health facility, talk about rural electrification, talk about welfare of the people who are pained in many situations. Like, for example, the PNDC Law 111. Do you know that in the past, when a man dies without a will, that is the end of maybe the woman and the children. They will sack you, sack your children, they will leave nothing for them. The PNDC Law 111 came to resolve such situations that these women could have at least something to take care of themselves and take care of their children. So he did a lot of things. For those of us who were close to him, what we will remember him for so much is how the little things he cared about. He wanted to know about your well-being. His stewards, he's interested in how was home. How are you feeling? What's happening at home? He's interested in that. Those little things, how he cared about his fellow human being. That is what we are going to mix. But that is something that he's taught us that we must also do same to fellow people who serve us. And we'll forever really keep him in our hearts. For me personally, I owe a lot to him, and I wish he was alive as I take another turn into something in my politics.
Now let's talk more about his love for the ordinary man, to the extent that we saw him getting into gutters, cleaning with the ordinary people and all of that. But you work closely with him. I'm sure everybody would like to get a glimpse of what it was like working with him, you know, at the time he was alive, of course.
Araba, I'll tell you, working with President Rawlings is one of the most interesting things. If you ask your colleagues who used to cover him, even in the PNDC days, through to the constitutional democratic period, they will tell you he was one person who made them love their job. He cared so much about people who work with him. So even though he's a disciplinarian, even though he is a no-nonsense person in quote, he wants to see things done right. And therefore, when you make a mistake somewhere, you are so afraid that because he will exact punishment sometimes almost immediately. He also made you feel at home. That is Jerry Rawlings for you. So working with him has been one of the easiest things, I must admit, because all he wants is keep to the truth. Even if that truth will hurt the boss you are serving, keep to it. So it was not difficult being, for example, a spokesperson for President Rawlings, because you didn't need to go and think about going to tell a lie. Tell the story just as it is. let's use truth to deal with the situation. That's one thing he taught us. That don't organize, don't resolve a problem around lies. Let it be truth so that the solution can last forever.
And I noticed that mostly when people wanted to interview him, he would be held back by some of his handlers. How difficult of a job was that for you?
You see, the holding back by the handlers is that he had a lot to share. And sometimes he wouldn't want to tell one story at a time. He would take this story. You have had a chance of interviewing him before. He will take a story, halfway he will leave it. And then he will pick another. And then halfway something else will come up, then he will leave it. So most times handlers are a bit worried about leaving stories halfway for the one doing the interview now to go and be completing and then be filling in. So handlers really didn't want him to do a lot of talking. But over the period, he grew into it, and then he will tell you, look, take note of this and bring me back to the point. So mostly you hear he will be doing the interview, then he asks you, so where was I? What was I? Then you must be alert to remind him and bring him back to point. So we had such challenges. Also, there were times we thought that there are certain things don't talk about. But like I told you earlier, he thinks that the truth must be told. I remember one time they said he was helped with some money from Nigeria. He truly believed that yes, some money came and that it was 2 million and that he put it
from General Abacha.
Yeah, and that he put it for national development. And so he was prepared to talk about it. But there were others who said, no, don't talk about it. Because if you do, it will be damaging. It's unconstitutional, but he is of a different mind. That, what do you mean by it's unconstitutional? But they helped. And we put it to good use. Why shouldn't we tell the people that they helped and we put it to good use? Why should we say, no, it's not true, when it is true? That is Rawlings for you. So when he speaks, and people think that he is doing so because he didn't like somebody or he didn't like that, I said, no, then you don't know the Rawlings you are talking about. Because even he himself, he speaks truth that affects him and he didn't care. That's the man we are talking about. He lived, truth was passion for him. And he loved his people. He loved his people.
And his people loved him back. And in recognition of that, we heard the president say that the University of Development Studies, which he used his seed money, money from an award he had won, as seed money to construct that university. That will be named after him, will become the Jerry Rawlings University. Whilst he was alive, and the president made this point as well, that he didn't like to be immortalized with monuments. So in his death, do you think that he will be happy knowing that the university has been named after him?
Not that he would not be. The issue is not about whether he will be happy or not happy. For us who serve him, we are happy for that decision because every day they will call it Jerry Rawlings University for Development Studies. People will ask, who is Jerry Rawlings? So you will be able to take them through the story. So our children, grandchildren, and the rest will come to know the name Jerry Rawlings and what he stood for. It's good. But what President Rawlings will love is that his values and his beliefs, we should live them every day in our lives, in our work, in our ethics. That is what he will, that's what will make him happy. Not just naming things after him. If we name them after him, but we end up living a life that is not worthy, that does not measure up to the values of justice, that does not measure up to justice of truth, that will not measure up to justice of our probity and accountability, then we have done nothing for him. He would wish that we live this in our everyday life, in our homes, in our schools, in our workplaces, as political leaders, as media, as religious leaders, all of us, we live those ideals. Then he will be happy that truly we have come and he can rest and rest peacefully.
Thank you so much. So you had the MP for Boem, who was former spokesperson for Mr. Rawlings, and you heard him say that the desire of Mr. Rawlings above all is for people to live the values of integrity, probity and accountability in their everyday lives. So reporting from the military cemetery here at Burma Camp, I'm Araba Kumsin. Over to you, Gifty.
And Araba, we will be coming back to you subsequently as we go along. Araba Kumsin there, who is coming to us live from the military cemetery where the former president, Jerry John Rawlings, has just been laid. It's been about 8 hours of ceremony, which started from the Black Star Square, ended at Burma Camp. And with a pass through some streets in Accra, went through Burma Camp and then ended at the military cemetery, where we saw some 21 guns. Gun salutes, firing of guns for the former president. We've been asking you to share your thoughts and your tributes with us on social media. We want to go right now and find out what some of you have been saying. But it has been a very, very long day. We saw the part 2 of the ceremony at the cemetery, which was led by Most Reverend Gabriel Odoi Kumoji. Let's read some of your comments and some of your thoughts. This one is coming from Bright Apia. He says, it is sad when someone you know becomes someone you knew. Rest well, Papa J. Rich Akpalu says, the best befitting legacy statue the government of Ghana can erect for late ex-president Flight Lieutenant Rawlings is to complete the whole airport and name it after him. Rawlings International Airport. Obedi Abua says, R.I.P. Papa J. Indeed, history will remember you. And Asuman Emerson Isaac says, farewell. Very simply put, farewell, Your Excellency. And, well, Jonathan just says, R.I.P. Francis Ahliakpo says, well, yes, you're writing Eve. I can't read that, I'm sorry. Prince Poku also says, R.I.P. And most of your messages are, you know, celebrating the man that we all knew. Well, from dictatorship to democratic governance, Mr. Rawlings has contributed to making the making of this country. JoyNews has a documentary that will be aired later tonight of the man we all mourn today. Here are excerpts of the piece on Ghana's great.
Oh, Eja Onyame, Wamba, for a bread.
The economic crisis is expressed in food shortages and nutrition difficulties that Ghana has never known before. Toiletries, canned fish and milk are only on offer at extortionate prices, the bulk of them going for sale across Ghana's frontiers in exchange for harder currency. Smugglers involved are selling the foreign money they get on the black market at 5 times the official rate. Some people can't afford to buy anything on the open market, while others are forced to queue all day for simple items like boxes of matches. Ghana is not basically a poor country, but economic mismanagement is as much a feature of the present government as it has been of all that have gone before.
Hello? You better shut up when I'm talking, okay? And the line is not straight. Move!
The people of Ghana have endured hunger for far too long. There is not one single worker who could make ends meet, and the miracle is that the people have been able to endure this for so long. You may say that this has been possible because of our excellent tradition of tolerance and patience. But patience and tolerance can be dangerous because they allow a buildup of anger to such an extent that when the bubble finally bursts, there can hardly be a way of containment. Countrymen and friends of Ghana, we must thank God that this pent-up anger did not erupt as it might have. The threat to the unity of the nation was real. If we had not acted the way we did, the nation could have faced total disintegration.
Jerry John Rawlings, a man of many faces, charismatic, enigmatic, and maybe the man who, through courage and love for his nation, ended an era of coup d'etats in Ghana.
December 31st was the last coup d'etat that we had in Ghana. I want to give him the credit for ending coup d'etats, because it became fashionable in our sub-region where one person, one country overthrows and then the next day you hear it in a different country. Military adventurism by some of the people in the profession. And that I would say it was something that had to end because the country was going down. People were migrating. People couldn't cope with the hardships of the times. So for that, he should take some credit for ending all coup d'etats for the good of our country.
Born on the 22nd of June, 1947 in Accra, Ghana, to Victoria Agbutui and his Scottish father, James Ramsey, Rawlings attended Achimota School and the military academy at Teshi. Rawlings was married to Nana Konadu Ajiman.
I remember him more as a young adult. When I really got to know him, he was over 10. But then his character formation had reached a very advanced level. He was very self-assured. He was very much dependent on himself. And he was always after knowledge. He was a very friendly person and willing to help others.
Bonin nani eba chef 5 o'clock yo. Senior boy mo firm abo.
I met Rawlings at the age of 14 when he came to my grandfather, and at a point took my grandfather as his father. Openly, at 6th March parade or 31st anniversary parade at the Independence Square, he could walk from his mic when he's giving a speech and he's trying to narrate a story on an issue. He would leave the mic, walk towards my grandfather, hold his hand and then lift him up, that this is my father. And then after that, he would tell the story behind it, why he's taking him as his father. Through his actions and inactions, I admired him and I enjoyed him. What I enjoyed most was his look at that time. I enjoyed that one more than even the later part of him. He looks so slim, strong, and when he's walking, the vim, when he comes out, brilliant. And I was following him closely, picking up his words, learning a lot from him. And in fact, my whole family is Rawlings.
And Kweko Osupepra is the producer of that documentary. He's joining me right now via Zoom. We'll get to Kweko Osupepra shortly. In the meantime, though, some Ghanaians have been paying glowing tributes to the former president, Jerry John Rawlings. They share interesting experiences that they've had with the former president as they expressed their pain at his loss.
Love him so much. The children love him. Ghana love him. Army love him. Even 64 battalion love Lawrence. So we all love her like a father. May he so rest in perfect peace.
Former President J.J. Rawlings is an icon. I mean, not just for Ghanaians, for Africans, and for the rest of them. Black people in the diaspora, in the whole world. To me personally, he was like, he's an adopted father to me because he has always been someone I look up to.
He was after total emancipation of the black men, especially when he came for the eradication of corruption and other social vices, who was, retrogressing the progress of the country. You see, so his death is a very big headache to the country now. And I hope the new generations who hasn't heard a lot about him we shall tell them about him that once they live a certain great man known as Jerry John Rawlings.
For me, I should say I've had the privilege to work with His Excellency the President, the former President Jerry John Rawlings. As an organizing assistant, a former organizing assistant of the CDLs, I worked with him very closely. And he's a man of intelligence, a man of honesty, a man of credibility. He's very smart and he's caring. Rawlings wouldn't mind taking out from his mouth what he is eating to give to the poor and the needy. So today that we are sending him home to the ancestors. The best tribute that we can give to Rawlings is to sanitize the political arena.
Jerry changed things in Ghana, and everybody know that you have to do the right thing. Jerry make everything look that even when you're at the top, you know that the downs are also needed.
Jerry John Rawlings is the greatest, selfless, and benevolent revolutionaries. The one who brought Ghana to where we are today, apart from Osadefo, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Rawlings was a humble lion who came to serve humanity through social justice and accountability. He's a man who came to reorganize Ghana and put that on the spotlight. Rawlings has no size in the history in terms of politics in Ghana.
Some of you sharing your thoughts with us there. Let's get to Ivy Setoji, who has also been speaking with some residents in Mr. Rawlings' hometown of Jelukope.
Jerry Rawlings indeed was a great man. He has paid his dues very well to this nation. Before some of us were born, he did a lot of things, and even when we were born, we saw him as a great person and a president that really did well for this nation. His death came as a surprise to some of us, but then for me personally, I think that a man who has done quite enough. I mean, he has done so much for the country, and he's old. He's not that young. So for me, I was not surprised. I just thank God that he died a hero, because, yeah, like I said earlier, he paid his due. And there was some hula baloo on and off, back and forth concerning his funeral planning between the government and then the traditional authorities. I can say
Ivy is joining me via Zoom right now. Let's take you live to Jelukope. Hello, Ivy. Ivy, I can see you moving. Do stay at one place for us so that we can hear you and we don't have interference with the connection. So earlier this morning, you told me that the town was pretty quiet.
Yes, the town was more like deserted. A lot of people were in their various homes watching the proceedings on their TV set. Some of them also gathered and just to talk about the issue. So you see a town where a former president comes from, and the town was deserted as if nothing was going on. As I said earlier in the morning, people were not happy about how things went on. They would have loved their son to be brought home, at least to have a glimpse of him, and then the final, the rituals be performed for him before he's taken to be buried wherever he was supposed to be buried. So the town in Jelukope, especially, that's his hometown, Jelukope Zomayi, was deserted. That's plus to other Anglo towns, Angloga, Keta, away and other towns as well.
So you've been talking to some of them, and we've just listened to one of them who talks about knowing Mr. Rawlings as a very little child, which resonates with many of us. What else have residents been telling you?
Well, residents knew former President Rawlings as a very nice man who will come to the town, see the ordinary man, and just, oh, hello, me fwan, that kind of a thing. That cordial relationship was between him and his people, and so that was what endeared him to the people, because he was a humble man, very free and loving, and so the residents or the people of Ango loved him for that very act. He will not be in his style and see people and just pass by. He will definitely get down and say hello, and whether you are an ordinary man, a chief, or whoever you are, he will give you that respect. So that is what people of Anglo and the entire Volta region will remember him for.
Ivy, is there anything else that our viewers need to be updated on? Otherwise, that will be it.
Yeah, so we are learning also that since the body was not brought home for the rituals to be performed, since nothing happened, there is likely a funeral that will be held in a later date that will be communicated according to what we heard. So we'll follow up on this particular one and get details for our listeners and viewers on this particular one.
Ivy, thank you very much. Ivy Setoji there. Well, she's also been speaking to some of the family members in Jolikope.
Miamo no nyo dam de gbaloji ni jagba mi police anya amegbo tutututu alabo trogbo azamato na yo gbogbo mi anya ba sojo nya mi o mi egbo ganya fia konu Russia re o na konu ka o no na ma ganya fia ha na trogbo akpa.
The woman thinks that it is not too late for the body of their late chief, Togbe Nutifafafia, to be brought home for the rituals or the customary rites to be performed before he is buried.
Nyanyara kamala shinyo. Nyakwinya. Uba nushanulia anutolini. Nushanulia anutolini. Myomyapa nu yiko jime miele. No chipo iji vele kebieso gagbo ha mionto miatwe. Na ganye ngudi bon ha mionto miatwe. Na ganye nu bada ha mionto miatwe ga kama yo langogba agbaba. Afavi yo ko la fia gochi ha le committee amako agbaba yo mana na ka woga cho nyanchi no gbonya o imiti na vo o ga tunya kata gbo. Nyanya nyara kama la shinyolo nyara kama la shinyo. Vava se se o dare jijire miakata la fama fia gojia. Menya nu vi o ga kare ngogba ajija umagba ngogba ajija umagba
nyama sila afiara ka kpobnade abru fiara ka ko o ko nya da zuma ye varie kpo nyama si afiara ka kpobnade amasro ko nyong na be dogo die vokpa hia aglobnade ya ye fo hia koba aye nya fofo kpleto ohlela nwa anyi ale magbogbon ba anya ni ye jofin tuya funye akure anya lugazo mayere nyebe na koma kukwavire miafa vinela miafa ova fia gojiva no nyiklimire.
It's getting hot here. Obviously the people are not happy. The women here believe that this cannot happen in the land of the Ashanti Kingdom, where a son of the land will be buried outside his home. So all they want is for the body of the late president or former president to be brought home. That the children of this man is also their children. So the right thing must be done.
Well, I was just about letting Ivy go, but let's get her to break down some of the things that they said, which I think she has done a little bit of. Ivy, obviously it's too late now. I needed to call you back quickly because I wasn't sure we're going to get a translation for that one. But I think you've broken it down pretty well in that stand-up, correct? Ivy?
Yes, Kitty, I did. I broke it down.
Okay.
But you want me to give you any other clarification?
Yes, I mean, this was something that happened earlier, and you've already given earlier, before he was buried. Today we know that he's been buried already. So this was last night when there was supposed to be a wake ceremony there, but it didn't happen subsequently, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll just leave it there. If you have explained it, I don't understand the language, but if you've explained it to the best of your knowledge, that's okay.
You know, what they think is a man, a typical man like the late president, shouldn't be treated with. You cannot go to Ashanti land or take Ashanti man back to the voter region because he's married to an elder woman to be buried in the voter region. That is what they are trying to say. That what happened was not supposed to happen. So they are just trying to make some clarification.
You spoke to the spokesperson, the family spokesperson as well, Ivy.
Yes, I spoke to the spokesperson for the Awomesia, and that is Agbotado Akumasa, who also collaborated on the things that the family members said, that they had meetings and that there are implications on what happened, that a chief would die, a chief from Angon would die, and then the ritual that was supposed to be performed in the land was not done. There are implications about that. He wouldn't say anything, and then I'm also not in a position to say anything because of traditions.
So let's listen to him. Let's listen to that interview.
He died on 12 November at about in the morning. It's about 11. By 12 o'clock, it was news. That was the first attack on our culture. Because you being a chief, when chiefs die, they are not announced immediately. They have to perform certain rites before the announcement. Then we were there. Nobody came to inform us. It was about a week before a delegation came led by Honorable Victor Gbaho to come and inform us after we have complained. Now this was done at Avalada's palace. So we told them that the man was a chief properly installed, and so the chiefs must have a stake in the funeral because he was sworn to as a chief, he took the oath as a chief, and if he's going back to the village, the oath must be taken back for him. So they told us they understood that they will now keep us in the picture. So when they came back to Accra, the following day they went to Kumasi to inform the Asantehene. When we told them that any new development, they should inform us. So we invited them, and when they came to Angloga at Agohon, we explained to them the violations that they were engaged in against the custom of our people.
Ivy Setoji speaking to the family spokesperson. Ivy, this is the Agbotui family spokesperson, correct?
Yes.
Right.
That's the Agbotado Akumasa, the spokesperson for the Awomefia.
Okay. What we also had at the funeral today was a wreath was laid by, I think, it was a tribute actually, I should say. It was a tribute from Togbisri as well. The people in the area are aware of this, right?
Yes, they are. They are aware.
And does that not solve the problem, the concerns that they've raised?
No, it does not solve the problem, honestly. Right. They don't think that solves the problem. They want us to be fully involved. And also, they wanted the body to be brought as a church for that particular right ritual to be performed.
But what they're saying right now is that they'll also organize their own funeral, right?
Yes. There is a possibility that there's going to be their own funeral at a later date, a wake and then a grand funeral where the and more people will have the opportunity to participate fully,
all right,
home and abroad, or will have the opportunity to participate fully.
Ivy, thank you very much. Ivy Setoje is a Volta regional correspondent. Away from Volta region, some residents in the OT region have also been sharing memories of the former President Peter Seno has been speaking to some of them.
Rawlings goes on finally. What do you know about him and what do you have to say?
Oh, Rawlings will be remembered forever. Looking at what he have achieved for Ghana, especially the fourth Republican dispensation that this country has been enjoying for the past 27, 28 years. Because when we go back to history, it is clear that all the constitution that came couldn't last. But this one, he has actually sowed a good seed to which Ghana will forever remain destitute to him.
You are one of the young men. Well, apart from that, what will you remember Rawlings for as he goes on finally today?
His charisma, the way he is one of the leaders that when they left power, we couldn't trace any assets like foreign accounts, mansions, and all those things as compared to what African leaders used to do. When they are in office, they try to what? Take almost everything for themselves. But only is one leader, not even a single building in this country, apart from where he is, can be traced to his name. When we come to foreign account, nothing. So I think that if the current 7 leaders will emulate him, it will do this country a great deal.
Yeah. Thank you very much. What's your name?
My name is Akangbe Latif.
Thank you, sir. Just to pick his thought on fond memories of Rawlings, you said you've worked closely with him. Or somehow work under his administration.
Yes.
Between what time and then?
Between 1989 to 93. Worked closely.
So what
meetings?
Yes. What are those fond memories that will keep lingering on your mind as Rawlings goes home finally today?
The togetherness that we had. The whole nation was operated as one entity. We didn't have this sort of divisions amongst us. Now, the democracy that we have sought to divide us, even friends, families, we are sort of divided. And those things are things that I'll keep reminding what Rawlings brought to us. Now, I don't even know how to go further. You see, friends, even people want to look at each other as enemies. You see the littering of the whole nation. Now people cannot even, people will be in their vehicles, when they pass by, they litter the place and go. In those days,
so the sense of discipline at the time.
The sense of discipline at the time is what normally goes into me. It's something I will never forget. What present day, I don't know what to say more, because the extent to which we have gotten to now in terms of discipline, I don't know how we will get back to them. It will be very difficult for us to go back. It will always continue to go bad. It will always continue to go bad. And that children even don't respect elderly. Children, the indiscipline is all over the place. Every sector of our business now, we meddle in indiscipline. We don't do things that we ought to do for us all to live together. I think that had it not been this indisciplined sort of life that we are leading, that this COVID-19 will not be going this far. Not be going this far. If we were respecting each other, indiscipline, the COVID-19 will not get to this extent of our lives.
Thank you very much for speaking to JoyNews.
Since 79, when things was getting rough, I think he came to rescue the whole country. And now you could see that he stopped coup after his coup d'etat. He stopped coup. And since then, we haven't heard about any coup again. And we believe he's going for rest today. And may the Almighty God bless him. So that we, those who he left behind, we also learn from his foot. But this country now, we pray that Akufo-Addo, as he's ruling now, should help us so that everything will calm down. The conditions are going high, which is disturbing us, we the youth especially. And I think Rollins has done well.
Would you remember so much about him?
Well, I was in Accra when the coup d'etat started those days. So we were at Makola, Glamour side there. But early dawn, early night, you could hear the gunshot, poo, 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 poo. So our stepmother said, if that's the case, we should come back to KJB. So we were forced to wake up that dawn, but from the station, from there to station, before you get to fire service to Tudu, was very, very serious, a dread that you can't go. Soldiers all around. But we were able to get car and then penetrate. Even getting to Atimpoku, before you cross the bridge, you have to get down, raise your hands before you can pass there.
And so you think he has done better for us as we are enjoying today, those days, because a few things.
Those are residents from the Oti region, which of course formerly was part of the Volta region. Now, President Akufo-Addo has lauded the contributions that the former President Jerry John Rawlings made to the country's democratic growth. Speaking at the state funeral of the late statesman, he said the monumental developments that the country has chalked under the governance of Rawlings would continue to linger in the hearts of many generations to come. President Akufo-Addo also acknowledged that although he and Rawlings did not have a great beginning, their love for public service created a strong bond that lasted till his demise.
It was no secret that the relation that existed between the two of us, right from the heady days of 1979 through to my brief period in exile, his assumption of office as the first president of the Fourth Republic, the historic Kumi-Preko demonstrations, my period as Attorney General and Minister for Foreign Affairs in the Kufuor administration, to be my elected the 2008 NPP presidential candidate, was one of open animosity. We did not see eye to eye. However, with time, things changed. We came to see value in each other and understood to a very large degree our respective perspectives. One thing we had in common was our mutual commitment to public service. My visit to his ridge residence in 2012 signified the easing of tensions between us, leading to a friendship that lasted for the better part of some 8 years. Indeed, when the Ghanaian people in 2016 reposed for the first time their confidence in me in the elections of that year, one of the first persons on whom I paid a courtesy call was His Excellency Jerry John Rawlings. From my entry into office, right up to the day he was called by his maker, he remained a good friend and a repository of sound advice. I knew that in moments of difficulty in my presidency, I could count on his considerable wealth of experience and knowledge. On those occasions, he came through for me. There was a symbolic gesture. He advanced to me at the funeral of his late mother, Madam Victoria Agbotui, held at the forecourt of the State House on 24th October 2020. It was to be our last time together. He was called up by the clergy to receive special prayers as the only surviving son. He told the men of God to wait and call for me to walk up to join him to receive the special prayers. He whispered to my ears as I stood beside him. I reminded them that they should pray for you also, because you had also lost your mother. I was touched by this. It is for good reason that his well-known, oft-cited ideals of probity and accountability, in which he invested a great deal of his political capital, have been enshrined in the Constitution of the Fourth Republic, and together with freedom and justice, the words of our nation's motto, constitute the foundational principles on which social order is to be developed in Ghana. There are many who acknowledge him as the founder of the Fourth Republic, a republic which has proved to be the most enduring and stable in our history, and which has witnessed 8 successive elections, 3 peaceful changes of government from one party to another, and 5 presidents. For all his revolutionary antecedents, he set in 2001 the enviable precedent which has since guided our country of respecting the 2-term limit of the presidency and superintending the orderly transfer of power to his democratically elected successor. Whilst he was with us, he respectfully declined an offer I made to him in 2017 to have the University of Development Studies Tamale, UDS, which he personally helped establish, named after him. His reason was that, in adhering to a long-standing principle, he did not want to have any national monument or facility named after him. 2 days after his passing, at the 21st congregation of UDS, I expressed my strongest convictions, in spite of his reservations, that such an honor should be accorded him. I am glad that this has found favor with his family, and the necessary formalities will be carried out to achieve this. That is, the Jerry John Rawlings University of Development Studies, Tamale. Such is the measure of the man that the days associated with his political intervention in Ghanaian history, i.e. 15th May, 4th June, 31st December, and 7th January, are now significant days in the calendar of the nation.
Well, Mr. Jerry John Rawlings' widow, Nana Konadu Agyeman Rawlings, says she had to learn to be streetwise when she met the former president. In a tribute read on her behalf by her daughter, Princess Amina Rawlings, she admitted that she and her husband started on a journey that was free and easy in spirit.
To you my intentions and the importance of allowing me to develop the women in Ghana to become self-sufficient and economically sound, since they hold half of the sky. So their empowerment will reflect on how the children in Ghana will grow and develop as well. You expected me to prove my worth by refusing to help my organization financially and challenging me flatly to raise my own funds if I felt the cause was important enough. Today, I appreciate and understand the importance of separating my NGO women's movement work from government business. I went all around the world, boldly fundraising and shamelessly negotiating in different sectors for opportunities for our women and children in Ghana. Jerry, I know that God created us for each other. And today we make a formidable team. notwithstanding the ups and downs of life. We believed in each other and in our dream of making Ghana a country we could all be proud of. One to set the pace for our sub-region and continent. I dare say we did not do a bad job. As you worked assiduously on state matters, I concentrated on empowering the women and improving the quality of life for them. Irrespective of their origins or creed, we were a team fighting to transform a collapsed state into one of potential prosperity for all. You did your best, and I played my part in my own way. You always said you did not need titles to define you, so you remained Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings. You also said you did not need political titles to influence a party to do what is right and honest for Ghana. So for most, you remained chairman. To me, you were and always will be Jerry, my love, my life partner, my friend. You were for Ghana and then for me. So, I say farewell with the words of Rachel Wallace. He's the kaleidoscope of the rainbow, the chuckle of the stream, the lark's glad call, the lily's perfume. He is the bud on the branch, the rich gleam of the fox's fur, the shy gaze of a fawn, the small cloud caught in a crate of trees. He is the gold that crowns the daffodils, the whisper in the wind, the song in the rain, the story of the seasons. He is life and love, the beginning and the end, an hour, a day, an eternity. Rest in perfect peace, my love. May you watch over us all.
Indeed, a very emotional day. It has been. Well, that was Amina there reading the tribute on behalf of her mother. Well, that for the children was read by Dr. Zaneto Ajman Rawlings, who is also a member of Parliament for Clote Kole.
Your shoulders were strong enough to carry the weight. You knew your purpose and you accomplished it. You never faltered. Courageous and daring in every way. You stayed true to the essence of who you are till your last day. Daddy, you were a warrior, and with each one of us, you took pause to name, because resonating within you was an organic understanding of a name's sacred soul. She, or he, who is the earthly possessor of a warrior's name, is beholden to that name. You knew this. You did not name any of us after you to ensure that we would discover our own purpose in our name's sacred soul. The warrior's label was thus your gift, and reveled in each name lay your challenge to us to be watchers, protectors of creation, keepers, seekers of universal knowledge, to be courageous, never to falter, to stay grounded, to seek our purpose and remain true to it. You wanted us to learn discipline, self-defense, but most importantly, a sense of community, as we sparred 3 times a week for many years with other club members in the Taekwondo Club of the Castle, with members from the Osu locality. You taught us all to drive, first on your lap, when our fingers could barely grasp the steering wheel, and with time in the Accra Plains and in Akuse over the weekends. You introduced us to water sports and, of course, your second love, flying. In all your lessons with us, there was no time like the present. To learn, to live, to experience the wonder and majesty of the Creator by conquering fear, mastering your skill, and trusting that you were created to do. You excelled at reinforcing that age was no restriction to boldness and adventure when you learned how to skydive after age 50. You were an artist at heart. your portrait pencil sketches, but a preview of your natural talent. Your craftsmanship saw you recycle disposed bits of parachute and plane parts to construct all manner of furniture and decor in the house, reflective of yours and your wife's artistic abilities.
Dr. Zaneto Juma Rawlings is reading the tribute for the children there, where she also goes ahead to talk about the names and what it means and everything. Let's go on social media. Let's get on Twitter, see what some of you are saying. All right, so this is Elton Burway, my colleague here, who is a presidential affairs correspondent. He takes a shot of the tribute and posts it, and that tribute comes with a picture of Dr. Zaneto Rawlings and her father, the former president. Well, let's refresh that page a little bit and take a look. Looks like we got the wrong page. We didn't get the wrong page, except that we didn't get to the point where we get your comment. We'll try and bring that back to you. But it's been about 8 hours of ceremony to finally lay the country's former president, Jerry John Rawlings, to his final resting place. We started all the way at the Black Star Square with a rather big ceremony, and then ended at the cemetery at Cheado, which is also the military cemetery. Let me just take you through some of the things that happened in the part 2 of this process today. So first, there was a procession which most of you followed or may have followed through some principal streets in Accra. Then they went through the Burma camp, allowed for some time, and then went to the cemetery. At the cemetery, the procession or the program was led by Most Reverend Gabriel Edo Kumaji, who is the Bishop of Keta Akachi Diocese. And then we had the Ghana Armed Forces fire the guns. We had 21 gun salute. We had an understanding from Commander Veronica Ahin, who is with the Ghana Navy, explaining what it means and explaining what each president or a vice president or leader of the security service is entitled to. And from that, we had a minute of silence as well. Then we had the presentation of the insignia, which was given to all of the children. We had the vote of thanks, and then we left that rather short program. Well, let's go back to Twitter. We found the link we were looking for right now. So there's a picture of the former president and his mother, who he buried shortly before he died himself, and that was posted by my colleague Israel Lai as well. And here is another family picture there. Well, you see the children, Kimathi, Zaneto, Amina, and Yasantua there. Also posted by Jonas Nyabo, who is tweeting at J Nyabo. May the family be comforted, Jonas says. George Rafe also says, maybe one surest way to secure the highest military honors as a civilian is to become a president of a country. Even long after your death, privileges reserved for generals will be extended to you. Hashtag Rawlings goes home. And like I was just telling you about the gun, the 21 gun salute, of course, this is for the president. But because he himself, the former president himself, is a military man, and because he was also recognized as the former commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, of course, all of those protocols were accorded or afforded him. Red Lipstick says there's this young man who has been running after the cortege since the procession. It's sad. With a broken heart emoji. She says, hashtag Rawlings goes home. Mr. Devil tweeting at Nanja Mensa says, man of steel, and he just rest well, and he just posted a picture of the former Rawlings. You remember this picture when this was not too long before he died, he had just adopted this new look because he wasn't shaving. I'm sure it was from the COVID period as well. Faith Abna Bonny, tweeting at Abna Bonny 2, says it's a sad moment though, but very beautiful. Farewell, rest on legend. Hashtag Rollins goes home, but she has a lot of emojis, tearful emojis, and a broken heart one as well. John Terry, he signs it off that way, and then he posted a video of the procession. Well, it has been our continuous coverage of the final funeral rites of Jerry John Rawlings, the country's longest-serving president. For 19 years has been at this job. Today we saw his family and the entire country converge at the Black Star Square, from where his body has been laid at the military cemetery. There's more news at myjoyonline.com, and we all continue to say may his soul rest in peace. At 6 p.m. we'll bring you Ghana's Great. It is a documentary that catalogs his life, catalogs his journey, and in which you hear people who have worked very closely with the man talking about their experiences and their encounters with him. You want to make a date with us? Unfortunately, we couldn't have the conversation with the producer, but you get to see the video yourself at 6 p.m. Do stay tuned. My name is Gifty, and appear to have yourself a good rest of the day.